everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. This is my second time filming this audio, so yeah. But hello. So for this week's video, we are updating my reading journal. So it's another journal with me video. I guess the same disclaimer is kind of if you want to have this video on, kind of like listen to me ramble about things and use the video as like buddy doubling for something that you're doing, that's completely fine. Feel free to do so. But on the other hand, if you don't want to hear me ramble about things but kind of watch me journal, that's also completely fine as well. You can hear me and have your own music in the background. Yeah, so feel free to use the video as a background noise or not. It's totally up to you. But yeah, for this week's video, we're actually updating my reading journal, which I'm so excited. A little flip through of my reading journal. It's the first month, so there's not much going on. So, the initial plan was to actually, So in January, I did read 2 books, and the initial plan was to journal about both of them. But I only journaled about one, and then I realized the video is already like 35 minutes long. Probably I'm not gonna edit it too much because that's not what I like to do with these videos. And then I realized that if I end up doing the other book as well, we're gonna be here for about an hour, if not more than an hour. And personally, I don't think I can talk for about an hour, because I don't really have scripts for these videos. I just, you know, ramble about things. So yeah, we are only journaling about one of the books that I read in January. But I guess I'll talk about both of the books because I really don't want to talk too much about the book because I don't really want to give spoilers. I'm just going to talk about what I thought of the book. With that being said, there's a few things that I want to say before I start talking about the books. So if you want to kind of keep on track with what I'm reading monthly, but don't really wait for the video, if that makes sense. Over on my Instagram, I share my monthly reads, just like a picture, and then I kind of like share the books and how many, or like what I rated them, I guess. So yeah, you can follow me over on Instagram, and if you want to keep on track with my like real-time reads and stuff and like actual reviews, I'm actually using a website / an application called Literal Club. I will link it down below, or I guess I will link my profile, so if you want to follow me over there and kind of like read about my reviews and stuff, you can do that. Don't feel pressure to do any of those. I just want to like kind of point them out just in case. But yeah, so with that being said, I think I can actually start talking about the journal in the book. So I think the first thing that I'm doing in the journal is kind of giving you guys a little flip through, which I guess you saw that already. And then I am filling my bookshelf, I think that's the first thing that I do. So for this bookshelf, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, and to be honest, I'm still not very sure, but I guess what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna write down the name of the book and the author. That's kind of what we're doing. But yeah, that's the plan. So I wrote 2 books. My goal this year is to read 60 books, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then I think what I'm doing next is I am filling out my book bingo. The thing that I did with my book bingo is I created the bingo on the left side of the spread, and then for the right side of the spread, I kind of created this like little table, so I was able to so I can kind of keep track of what books I used for book bingo, because I have another challenge, which is the alphabet challenge, and I don't want to use the same books in the challenge, you know. So I kind of wanted to keep track of what I'm doing in the book bingo. So yeah, that's kind of what I done. And then I think for the alphabet challenge, for the alphabet challenge, I'm writing down second first impressions for S. And then I think I also fill in my books read in 2024, which is nothing crazy. I just write down the book name, the author, and the rating of the book. I went very simple with my not bullet journal. I went very simple with my reading journal, because I realized that if I decorated it too much, I will probably not do it because I already struggle keeping track of my reading journal. So I just thought that I would do it as minimalistic as I can. So this is kind of what I came up with. Speaking of ratings, before I kind of start talking about the books that I've read, I want to kind of talk about my rating system a little bit. I'm very bad with numbers in general. I don't deal well with them, and like rating things are very hard for me for some reason. Like I can't really rate things, like not just books, but like I can't rate anything. Even if there's like a scale, it's just I'm horrible. So I started using a method or like a spreadsheet. I'm gonna link the video down below because that's where I got the spreadsheet, and honestly, that video explains the thing that I'm gonna explain a lot better. So yeah. But basically, it's the cow pile method, I guess. I think like if you're into books and if you spend time on booktube, I guess, you probably heard about it. But basically, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different categories, and then you rate these categories out of 10. And if you have the spreadsheet, it calculates the overall star rating for the book. And it even does the half star rating, which is amazing because that's how I like to keep track of my books. So yeah, it's just perfect. So basically every letter stands for a category, I guess. C is for characters, A is for atmosphere, W is for writing, P is for pilot, I don't let me see. Oh no. Okay, I is for okay. I is for intrigue, and L is for logic, and lastly E is for enjoyment. And in the spreadsheet, there's like a section where it kind of explains what star kind of equals to what in words, which I really appreciate because I do a lot better with words than numbers. So yeah, it was very helpful. Definitely look into that if you struggle with rating the books. I have it in my journal as well because it's just easier for me to refer back to it when I'm rating the books. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. And then, okay, I will kind of start talking about the January books, I guess, now. Oh, actually, before that, I also have like a January cover page. I don't know if I showed you that in the video, but basically, I just have chapter 1 stamped, and then I have a TBR part, but I didn't really get to plan my January reads, so I don't really have anything in the TBR. So that's empty. And then I have books read section, which I wrote the books, and I stamped 2 next to it because I read 2 books. And then I was supposed to track pages, but I don't think I stamped it yet, which I need to. But again, I need to calculate how many pages, so we'll do that. Okay, so talking about the spread. So the initial idea that I had was to have 2 pages for a book. But I quickly realized that that's not going to happen. Mainly because I don't really write too much. Even in my reviews. Like I said, I don't like to talk about the book when I'm reviewing it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to give a summary of the book when I'm reviewing it, because to me, if I'm reviewing the book, I want to write about what I think of the book rather than what the book is about, so I don't really talk too much about what's going on in the book. Also, I feel like if someone else is reading my journal, my reading journal, or my review, I don't want them to get a spoiler, because just because I read the book, it doesn't mean that the person who's reading the review has read the book. So I don't know. I don't really like to talk about the book. So I just talk about my feelings about the book, if that makes sense. I don't even like go into character names or anything. Again, it's just not something that I like to do. But because of that, like I said, I quickly realized that 2 pages is a little bit too much because I also write very small. So yeah. But what I did is I decided to do that. I decided this halfway. So the way that I decorated the page is not specifically for this, but I think it works out. So I guess we're gonna go with this the rest of the book now. But basically I had this craft paper that I bought a while ago. And I kind of used like small pieces of that for the corners of the pages. And then I bought these like washes a while ago. They have so many colors. And I kind of tried to match the colors with the book cover. Specifically, I tried to match it with Icebreaker, but then I realized that I was gonna journal about the second book as well. And I kind of like chose this purplish pinkish color. So yeah, I think it worked out at the end. But yeah, I kind of decided to do this like a 1 page review at the middle of the review, so yeah. But technically, I don't really mind if it's not 1 page. Like if it's a little bit over 1 page, it's fine. I will just draw a line and continue, which is kind of what I did because like there was one line that didn't fit, and I probably could have just wrote it in the bottom, but I didn't want to make it too crowded, so I was like, it's fine, just it's one line, it's not the end of the world. So I wrote it there and just like draw a little line to indicate that the review was finished. So yeah, I don't really mind that. I'm not gonna like force myself to fit into 1 page. If I want to write more, I will write more and then draw a line and continue. Not a huge deal. I'm kind of like trying to learn. Not everything has to be perfect. Like if it's more than a page, it's fine. If it's less than a page, maybe I didn't like the book, maybe I DNF'd it, maybe I gave it 1 star, which is not something that I do. But if that happens, it happens. I'm not gonna like force myself to write 1 page. So yeah. One more thing before I jump to the books. I wanted to print out the covers of the books, but if you watched my first journal with me, you know that I can't really print things out the second that I want them, mainly because I print them very small, especially like these book covers, they're gonna be very, very small. And obviously, like if I print it to a normal printer paper, it's gonna be super small. And then what am I gonna do with the rest of the page? Because if I try to like print it out and like cut it for the next time that I print something, it's gonna be weird, and I'm gonna have to like try to figure out where everything goes, and it's just gonna be a mess. So I kind of left a little bit of a space right next to the little points that I have for the book. So I don't know if you can actually see, but I have kind of the index about the book, I guess, like the the author of the book, the genre of the book, the format that I read the book, I guess, and like the pages. And next to it, I kind of left a little case, which is covered by the craft paper, but I don't mind. I kind of want to layer things in this journal. So on top of that craft paper, not the entire paper, but like some part of it, it's going to be covered with the picture that I print at some point. I don't know when. It depends on how many books I read, obviously, because I will probably like print them out at once. I might mix and match them with my commonplace journal stuff as well, but we'll see. But yeah, that's for that basically. And okay, let me talk about the books a little bit. So I guess I'll start with Icebreaker since that was the first book that I read in January and in 2024, which I feel like it was a good start. I gave the book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Which is surprising because I don't really like sports romance books. I know, it's just I read one and I DNF'd it. It wasn't my but actually I might give it a try after this. Because I actually really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know why. But actually I know why. It was because of the characters. I really liked the characters. And usually if I like the characters, it means that I will like the book. Like, the way that the characters are written plays a huge role for me. I think that was the reason. Like I said, the favorite thing, for me at least, was the characters. Not that I liked every single character. The thing about me is I don't really need to like all of the characters or any characters at all in a book. But if the character is like well written and if they make me feel things, I will give the character thing that I have a high rating because they made me feel things and I enjoyed learning about them. I enjoyed reading about them. So I don't really need to like them, you know? But yeah, I really like that. The backstories were very well written in my opinion. I enjoyed like learning about their backstories. And one thing that I really appreciate and really liked is that the fact that they didn't really break the character throughout the book. Like, they were acting just like how I thought they would act, which is obviously good. So I really, really enjoyed that. And another thing about the characters I liked is they were not like one-dimensional, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I get to see a few different sides of the characters, which I really enjoyed. For those of you who don't know, I annotate my books. I was gonna say almost every book, but I think at this point I do annotate every single book that I read. It's just fun. For me, when I say I annotate my books, please don't get your expectations too high. For those of you who don't know, I'm a literature student, and it's my last year. And when I say people, like, oh, I annotate my books, they're like, oh, cool, like, you must annotate them in, like, in a serious way. No, I don't. Like, obviously, if I am annotating something for one of my lectures, I do it seriously. But to be fair, I don't really read serious books, unless it's for one of my lectures. I like to read, like, silly, goofy books. Because of that, my annotations, they're not, very serious. So don't get your hopes up, but I do annotate them. I just write about what I feel about the books, I guess, or like what I'm feeling in the moment. If you guys want me to make a video about how I annotate the books, please let me know. I would be more than happy to do it. But yeah, like I said, don't get your expectations too high. It's just my silly goofy annotations, for the most part. Yeah. So I use like a tagging system, and for Icebreaker, I used 5 colors, I guess. One of them for the romance stuff or like fluffy stuff, cute stuff. It doesn't really have to be um romantic, if that makes sense. The next one was for spicy, which I was not expecting the book to be this spicy. But yeah, so I used the tag for that. And then the next tag I have this in every single one of my books, and I think this is the most used tag in every single book. But this is my WTF tag. I use this if I'm like surprised, shocked, angry, those kind of emotions. The next one I have is for funny moments, so if something made me laugh, or like if I related to something, I tend to relate to funny things. So I use that for that. And then the last one that I have is for sad, emotional stuff. So yeah, that was my little annotation guide for Icebreaker. Yeah, okay. I feel like I don't really want to talk about what like the plot of the book or like what's going on in the book, I guess. Mainly because, one, I don't want to give spoilers. Two, I don't really read sports romance, like I said, so I don't think it's my place to talk about it because like I don't know what's different and what's same in other books or in other sports romance books. So yeah. All I can say is I enjoyed it. There weren't any like crazy plot twists or anything, but I enjoyed it. Like there were some chapters where I was like surprised, so I guess that's something. Um yeah. I did feel emotional in some parts, which again is a good sign. And I did feel a lot of different emotions. So that's good. Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say about the book. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to the next book because I think I have about 10 minutes. I did talk about Icebreaker for a while, but I really enjoyed the book. I don't remember if I said my rating, but I gave it 4.5. The next book that I read in January was Second First Impressions. Honestly, if I didn't use Cowpile, I would probably give this a 3. But apparently it's 3.5. I'll take it. I liked the book, but like it wasn't something crazy. Like it was I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like whoa. You know. I didn't use as many tags that I usually use, so that's obviously an indicator. But like I said, like I enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad book. It was fun. Yeah, that's like I don't know what to say about this book because I feel like for the most part, like I said, if I like the characters, I will like the book, and if I don't like the characters, I won't like the book. Something I realized after starting my degree, which again is literature, is that I actually really enjoy analyzing the characters. So I feel like if I'm reading something, the characters are a deal breaker for me personally. They, you know what? Okay. I was like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think I can say this. But I think if I'm reading something, the characters are the main reason that I'm reading it, if that makes sense. So if the characters are like one-dimensional, or if I don't feel attached to the characters, I don't give it a high rating because I personally really like to get to know the characters. And I think one of the reasons that I really enjoy reading dual point of view chaptered books, I guess, is because I get to see the both perspectives, and I really enjoy that. Icebreaker was like that, and I really enjoyed that. This was not like that, and I don't think it was the main reason why I didn't like the book. But I feel like, you know, it definitely affected it a little bit, but also I feel like the characters, they weren't really flashed out, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't get to know too much about them. Like, yes, they did had like backstories and stuff, but I feel like, I don't know, like something about them, they didn't really click with me, which meant that I couldn't really connect with them. I'm gonna say this though, like throughout the story, I was like, about them, but like towards the end, I think I got to learn more about them, which made me feel a lot better about the book, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I said, like the characters, they play a huge role. So yeah. Again, I don't have to like the characters, but I just need to feel connected to them somehow. You know, I don't necessarily have to like them. If they make me feel something, that's good enough. There were some moments where I related to the main character in this book, so I really enjoyed like those chapters. Like I said, I can't say it was a bad book because I really enjoyed it. Like I had a fun time reading it, and I did read it pretty fast. So it's not that I didn't enjoy the book. It was just like a decent book, you know? It wasn't anything crazy. Okay, now that I am done kind of giving you guys my little review of the books, there are a few things that I want to ask you about this series, I guess. So, number one being, okay, before asking the questions, I will say that since this is the first attempt to this reading journal thing, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you have any advice or suggestions in general, please let me know. But I think I'm gonna ask the questions now. One of the questions is, we obviously saw that I won't be able to probably like journal about every single book that let me rephrase that. I won't be able to film me journaling about every single book that I read throughout the month, because I don't really edit these videos, and literally we would be here forever if I tried to do that. But would you guys prefer the video to be like longer? And when I say longer, I mean like at least an hour, and kind of see all of the books that I read, or like at least maybe little clips of me journaling, maybe not the entire page? Would you like that? Or would you like me to pick one book that I really enjoyed that month and just journal about that while I talk about the other books? It will be a shorter video, but it's not going to be too short. It's going to be at least 30 minutes long, because journaling takes time. But I'm curious, like, would you guys prefer to see every single review that I write down on my journal? It's nothing crazy. I don't really decorate, so I don't know if that would be interesting, because then I would be writing things for an hour, and my handwriting is not very legible, so I don't know. Let me know. I'm kind of confused. I don't really know how to do this, but again, I'm open to suggestions, so please let me know. There was something else that I wanted to ask, but I do not remember. Okay, one thing that I probably should mention is, if it's going to be an hour-long video, I feel like I won't be able to talk for an hour, because for these videos, I don't really have a script. That makes sense? I just, you know, sit in front of the microphone and just ramble about things. So I don't necessarily have a script, which means that I don't know if I would be able to talk about stuff for an hour, because doing it for 30 minutes is already hard for me. I don't know. Please let me know. I would probably like add some music if I stop talking, but I don't know if that would be interesting. So let me know how you would prefer these videos. I really appreciate it. Okay, with that being said, and since I don't remember the next question, I think I'm just gonna go. If I remember the question, I will put it down below. I can answer it, but for the next week, I will upload my bullet journal for the next month, so we're gonna set that up. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please leave the suggestions, answer the questions. I really appreciate that as well. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. Bye everyone.